It's a Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringer, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. The Doffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. And who'd have thought we'd have a point to talk about? An actual point away from home. Unbelievable. So, yeah, quite a lot to cover from Southampton. From an early goal to an early substitution to then a stunning goal. We'll cover all that and everything else we can think of between now and whenever we finish. Tom's with us. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good. Really good. Ended up making the trip yesterday and very thankful for it.
Yeah, it looked like 1,000 Millers fans had a good old afternoon on the South Coast. Danny, you were there as well. How are you, mate?
Knackered, but very, very happy. I mean, we're talking about a draw like we've just drawn with Man City, but I don't care. The cheer that we gave the team at the end, they deserved, I think.
I think they did as well. We'll come on to that in more details. Mick is with us from everybody's favourite location. Mick is in a car park in North Wales. How are you doing, Mick?
All right, mate. Yeah, I had to set off an hour early to get to this car park in North Wales, given that they've got a stupid 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in force here now. So I could have walked here quicker, but I'd have been a lot colder.
We all feel sorry for you or something.
You don't, yeah. You don't.
Not really, no.
No.
You might want to start your own podcast just criticising.
Mark Drayford is the bloke's name you're looking for.
Say that again.
Mark Drayford, that's the name you're looking for.
All right. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
We've got loads of people with us. Paramount's with us, and Steve Adams with us from Crete. Sarah Ogden, YouTube user, Samson Kumar is with us as well. Thank you all who are with us. Danny, let's start with a general point because we'll talk about there's lots of stuff to talk about, but we're all happy. And I know it's only a point, but it's sort of scheduled and set a change about him, certainly in my head, that there's something there. With this team's, Max Hill's maybe needed time to work something out, but the plan worked in the end, almost perfectly. With a bit of luck, that Rathbone shot might have gone in. So,
I haven't edited the vlog footage yet, so I'll have to look back on it. But there's a moment where Taylor makes the substitution and takes Onyedinma off, and I think nearly everybody out of the 1,000 questioned why have we just done that. And a lot of us were saying he's lost the plot. His marbles have come out of the bag. What's going on here? And I said to mate Jensen, who I was stood with, wouldn't it be funny if we ended up drawing or winning this game? How wrong would we be? And look what happened. So in hindsight, which is a beautiful thing, Taylor got that absolutely bang on. Because I actually think if he hadn't have made that substitution, Southampton could have put easily 4 past us. Maybe more if Victor wasn't on form either. But yeah, the general consensus is I will hold my hand up and say I criticised that and I was wrong. So fair play.
Yeah, social media was quite fun to look at after the game. There were tweets from an hour ago which were saying Taylor out, this, that, and the other, and then an hour later, everybody's quite happy about it. Tom, let's talk about the substitution. We'll talk about the Southampton goal in a minute, but obviously the substitution came on an hour. Fred came off for Revan, basically went to a 5 at the back. There's sort of 2 points to this, I suppose. The first point is Matt Taylor's made a mistake. The way this setup was wrong. It was instantly visible that was a wrong way to set up against Southampton. Their pace and power caused us problems, but he was grown up enough to sort of, there's a problem here, I can fix this, and he did, and we got a point from the game. So he deserves a bit of criticism, but then more praise than the criticism, I think.
Yeah, like what Danny said when that substitution was made, I think everyone was just thinking, what the hell's he doing? Lost his marbles, this, that, and the other, including me. I think I've been very Taylor, I think he's the right man. But even when that happened, I just thought it's all gone wrong now for everyone. Even, still bringing Fred off, I thought was a very rogue choice. I understand the need to make that change to suit the formation a bit better with because Bramall did seem to be a bit more exposed on that our left there right hand side, but and when Revan came on, he was very defensively sound. Still, I thought bringing Fred off was a bit of a rogue choice because I thought like he was our only decent attacking player in that first 30 minutes. But like every fan would say now, in hindsight, it was a great decision. I don't know. It was very odd. It's almost like he admitted his own mistake and then kind of tried to rectify it. I honest to God hope that Fred doesn't have any kind of bad ill feeling towards that, because then that's when things can get ugly. But yeah, absolutely, that was needed. We were getting really exposed down our left, there, right. So having that change was very, very necessary. So yeah, in hindsight, I'm glad it happened.
I don't think you'll find a Rotherham fan that at the time thought, "Oh, that's a good decision." Everybody went, "Oh my god!"
Unless it's someone who's got a crystal ball or has got their own UEFA A license, I don't think anyone would have said that was a good decision. But Taylor came out and said, he's there to take the stick, but he's there to make the tough decisions. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, and that tough decision worked out beautifully, very nearly perfectly. If Ollie's shot had took a bit more of a deflection, it could have been beautifully, but we'll stick with how it worked out just for now.
Yeah. Let me play devil's advocate, because this is not necessarily how I feel. That you could argue that we just got lucky. Matt Taylor made a substitution. It made us stronger. But if not for Victor being the best goalkeeper in the Championship, we'd have been 4-0 down by half time. Is that again, that's not how I feel, mate, but would that be a very unfair way of looking at it, or be fair?
I'm sure some people will say exactly that, won't they? Because it suits the narrative for the sort of moaners, if you like, some of the moaners. But ultimately, making a tactical substitution 20-25 minutes into the first half, it doesn't happen very often, and a lot of the time it doesn't happen because managers are not brave enough to do it. Matt Taylor's clearly seen that they were getting in behind us down both flanks. And we didn't have enough defensively to quash it, and so he's changed it, and he's changed it for the better. He's shored us up on out wide on both sides, so it's a good decision. Whether or not we win the game, whether or not we get a point or win the game, even if we're going to lose, it's still the right decision, and it's a testament to Matt Taylor for me. That he's spotted the mistake, if it is a mistake, or he's identified the way that they're getting through us, and he's plugged that gap. So yeah, you can't argue with it, really. I don't think. I'm sure somebody will, but no, it worked out for the best as well, which is a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah. John Bell, I think if you made a sub of 25 minutes, you've set up wrong. Yeah, it does. Yeah,
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Well, we did, though, didn't we?
I don't necessarily agree with that, because you don't. You can only guess how the opposition are going to play. Yeah, but it's
a Russ Martin team. You know how Russ Martin's going to play, don't you?
You do, and you know that Russ Martin's going to tap it around at the back, maybe play it into midfield occasionally, send it round to back again, and then occasionally drop it to one at wingers. Not the way that they set off. The intensity that they set off in the game was, for me, having seen a number of Russell Martin sides before, and seen quite a bit of Southampton this season, because they're always on telly. It's not the way I've seen them play this season, and it's not the way I've seen a Russell Martin team play. Now, whether that's what he's aiming to achieve ultimately, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But for me, that was quite a surprise. I'll be honest. To see a Russell Martin team being progressive in attack is unusual, I think.
Well, I think their plan is, and I might be wrong, I think their plan is to exploit space and exploit the gaps, and the gaps were there, so they didn't have to wait and tippy-tappy around, because the space, the gaps were already there. And then when we went to fire at the back, they then had to revert to that slow-paced game and that sort of boring kind of way that I'm not particularly a big fan of. But I just think we allowed that space and that time. And if you're going to allow, they've got excellent players. They've got guys called up for Argentina, for God's sake. So this is you need to be solid. We weren't solid enough to start with, were we?
No.
When that goal goes in on 2 minutes, Danny, I don't know about your mind, just heart went to the ground, because you're sort of thinking, we need to be tight. And then you just concede what felt like a pretty soft goal. It was well worked, but Grant Hall's made another mistake like he did against Bristol City, and you just think, God, this is going to be a long afternoon.
I mean, in hindsight, looking at, again, with devil's advocate, with Grant Hall starting his first game against Southampton, you can put it down to match day rustiness and getting back into the swing of things. But the raw emotion at the time of it was just, oh no, here we go again. Yeah. And the fact that we'd actually, from kickoff, we started quite brightly. Ollie actually got the first shot in of the game. All right, fair enough, it were off target. but we went forward. And it's like, hey, this could be interesting. We're up and at Southampton straight away, and then we conceded. Quite unluckily, in my opinion, honestly, like the cross is good from there, right hand side. Don't get me wrong, and Che Adams, I think, is actually quite unlucky to hit the crossbar. Because it hit right in the top corner, and any other day it's header and it's a goal, or Victor gets his hand to it and it's a corner, or he just misses and it's a goal kick. But for us, it unluckily bounced perfectly to where their player was, and we've just not reacted quick enough. But to say we should have reacted quick enough, that's like split second timing, and I don't think anyone expected it to bounce where it did. So it's like, it's unlucky, but again, like I say, it was that initial thought of, oh no, here we go again. And I will admit, when Southampton were giving us a bit of stuffing after it, we were singing Your Note Special, we lose every week. And fair play to Southampton's fans, they were giving it us all game, and we were giving it back to them, which I thought was quite funny. And I think, if anything, that was almost the fault of Southampton's fans, because it kept us going for the entire game, and then suddenly second half, it's like, we're showing a bit of stuff. We're showing a bit of stuff on the pitch ourselves here. That's really got us behind the team, and I think stopped us from deflating as much as we would have done, say, if it was like Millwall away, for example, or Cardiff away, when we were really dejected and deflated. I think to Southampton's error, they kept us going, which was quite nice of them. So thank you for that.
AJ sort of goes with Danny. The conceding nearly changed the game. We were in their face a little bit before that. The confidence completely went. Yeah, it did, and that's a frustrating thing, Tom. When you concede against a Russ Martin team or a Russ Martin type team, you can't go behind early, because you're then inviting trouble. Because initially you can let them have a bit of ball and you can be solid and X, Y, and Z. If you concede early, you're in deep trouble, and we were in deep trouble.
Yeah. And I agree with what Danny said about in the first, it felt like first 10, 15 minutes, but it was in fact the first minute where we were kind of not on top of them, nowhere near on top of them, but kind of pressing with a purpose and trying to do something that we hadn't away from home, which is actually try and get on top of the opposition. And then as soon as you thought, okay, we've got a chance here, they scored immediately. And although I know you say it was, unlucky, Danny, I think we got lucky for the next 15 minutes after that we didn't.
Oh God, yeah.
It kind of evened itself up. But yeah, I don't know. I think that first 15 minutes was possibly the worst performance I think we've put in all season, just by how.
And there's some competition for that.
Yeah, but how easy they looked on the ball, how confident they looked on it. I know that they're a supposed class above us because they're supposed Premier League and whatnot and the other. But it was so clear to see when, in fact, those first that first minute, looked like we'd actually kind of come out with a purpose. But absolutely, we kind of rode that luck thanks to a couple Victor, miracles, and then got our just rewards the second half, I guess. I mean, again, coming back to that decision to change the system definitely put them under a bit more pressure than it did us, because we having a bit more of a low block definitely made them attempt things that we know that they would have done, i.e. passing it around the back and trying to find that space a bit, slower, a bit more methodical. and it kind of suited us better in that first half. After those first 15, 20 minutes, I couldn't really tell you a thing that happened, and I think that's a good thing from our perspective. And then, yeah, the second half was just a completely different story for some bizarre reason. We actually got in their faces, and we actually did what I think a lot of fans were expecting us to do in that first. We did in the second half. So yeah, but to say that the first goal was unlucky is, okay, fair enough. But to say that the rest of the, game was unlucky, tough.
Mate, Dutch was such a good haul because he was at fault for the first goal. He's misread the situation again. But he was one that I thought really settled into the three at the back. When it went to three at the back, I thought it was a rock. And Matt Taylor mentioned something similar with Sean Morrison, that you've got to put up with a lot of crap with these type of players. And then you end up getting it when they're back into the rhythm, when they're back into a bit of form, you then get a better player. And I think it grew into the game. It's cost us 2 goals, sadly, over the last 2 games, but he was very slowly getting back to a very solid centre half. Yeah, over the course of the afternoon, I thought.
Yeah, well, we've seen this before with Richard Wood, haven't we? It takes him 2 or 3 games to get back into the pace of the game. Sorry. Is that you, Matt?
Yeah, we watch on silent, and I press the button to find my phone, which is next to it.
Like I said, we've seen this with Richard Wood, haven't we? It takes 2 or 3 games to get to the pace of this league, and Grant Hall's obviously no different to that. You're right; he has made a couple of mistakes. We know he's got mistakes in him, but hopefully, well, I was going to say hopefully he can kick on, but I'm not so sure anymore. He was taken off at the end, and I couldn't understand him going off.
It was first game back.
Yeah, but it left us with it left us with 1 centre half. They're attacking us, and we've got 1 centre half on the pitch. It just didn't seem, unless he was injured, I couldn't see any sense whatsoever in taking him out of the game.
Or it's a piece of tactical brilliance because it let us have the ball back. Victor's lobbed it, and then Hugo scored from it.
Well, yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm a bit worried. Genuinely, I'm a little bit worried that to put Tahi back in that as a centre half when you're chasing your first away point of the season, it just seemed a little bit of a bizarre substitution if he's not injured. But
the thing is with Grant Hall, you've got to treat him like he is literally made of sand. You've got to be so you can't push him. I don't think more than 5 minutes past what he's capable. I think Peltier is a bit different. He seems a bit more resilient. Grant Hall has so many problems. You just need to treat him so softly.
Yeah, you might be right, and I seem to be the only person that has this concern. My wife has exactly the same view as you three. That it was just going off so we could bring some attacking players on, but it didn't seem like. We'll see. We'll find out, won't we? Whether there's an
I said, didn't Peltier? Didn't we switch back to a 3?
So we have to do a Peltier centre at 3 then.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw. I thought we went back to a 3, and Peltier went into the middle, which put him in a better position for when he cleared it off the line later in the game.
Well, either way, one of those 3 had to be Tahi, didn't it? And that's not what you want when you're chasing your first away point for season. For me, anyway. But what do I know? Absolutely nothing.
He's got 2 weeks rest though. I would think that hour's done in the world of good. By the time we're back against Ipswich, I should think he'll be in a great. Hopefully, not get injured again. He should be in a really, really good place.
Yeah.
Couple of performances to talk about. Then, if we talk about a bit of a positive there with Hall, let's talk about what I felt was a slight negative. Nombe got his second start for the club, and he really, really struggled. Now, I don't know whether that was because the initial formation was set up to help him and then we had to change or whatever, but nothing stuck, nothing worked. I'm feeling a bit sorry for him, to be honest with you, because I don't know if he's been thrown on the bus or whatever, but he's really struggling a bit, Nombe.
Yeah, I thought he was really struggling. I've said before about I wanted Nombe to start over Hugo because Nombe almost seems more suited to be in the middle with the two wider players, whereas Hugo almost seems to need that man next to him, which I was proven right with, because when it was him and Georgie Kelly up top, we were very dangerous, I thought, with those middle two in terms of pressing players and actually going after the ball. But yeah, Nombe was very underwhelming for me. And it was just very disappointing, I thought. And that's it, really. It just didn't seem to want to press the ball enough. And possibly it's down to us setting up wrong and it not being helped when Onyedinma went off, like you say. But yeah, just very disappointing and very underwhelming from Nombe, which is a shame, to be fair.
Do you think, Tom, it was the way we set up and it just changed and it suited him? But before that, the rest of the team was poor, so maybe he wasn't helped. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It's tough because you want to say, there's still time, but I think the times when he was on in a system that suited him, even when Fred went off and it was a bit more of a kind of running the channels kind of player, he just didn't seem to give that presence that we've been told to expect from him. The ball didn't seem to stick to him. He got caught offside way too many times for what he should be doing. He didn't seem as quick or resilient, or he didn't press as hard. It just didn't seem to work at all. It was almost a half press. It was almost a half bothered desire to get to the ball. It didn't seem to work at all. And I hate saying that players, aren't going to come off, because I really hope he does, because I think he's probably got something about him that we're yet to see. But as soon as Hugo came on, there was such an immediate impact that it wasn't like it was a playing alongside each other. They both it was a player for player switch, and we could tell how much more we benefited from having not just a vocal point in Hugo, but Hugo himself. I thought that was the best. I know we'll probably talk about it later. I thought that was his best performance to date, from a personal perspective anyway. Whether or not it's because we were juxtaposing it with Nombe or whatever it may be, I thought he didn't have the ball. Nombe didn't have the ball stick to him. He didn't run the channels very well. He was caught offside way too much. It didn't work out at all. Tough defense to go against, but you'd expect a little bit more from him.
Yeah, mate. Again, let's play devil's advocate, because again, I'm not sure necessarily buying this. But if he didn't cost £1 million, would we be questioning as much? Or do you think just in general he's just struggled? Even if it was a loanee or a free transfer, do you think we're still getting the same conversations?
No, we wouldn't. No, I don't think we would. I think that's exactly why we're having these conversations. I don't think he's been very impactful so far, but I think he will be. I think there's a player in there. There's no doubt about it, and we've just got to find. He's either got to adapt to the way that we play, or we've got to find the best setup for him, if you like, from an attacking point of view. So we've got to give him time. He's not played at this level before either. He's straight into the mix, and what a mix it is that he's straight into. It's not we've no comfortable games at all. So he's going to take some time to bed in, I think. Just let's just leave him alone and let him develop, and he will develop. I've no doubt about that. Earlier on in the season, I think it was John in the comments. Sometime earlier on in the season, talked about Hugo being better as an impact player. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Saturday. John, you were absolutely right. For me, it appears, and again, I don't know whether this is right or not, it appears that Jordan Hugo has to have something to play for other than just starting. He's got whenever he plays a team that is one of his old teams, he's always a different player. He came on Saturday with a point to prove and proved it. I just wonder whether he just needs a point to prove when he comes on, when he starts or whatever, because he plays so much better when there's something else on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what I mean. let's move on to the substitutions. I would talk about the first substitution, but then obviously Jordan Hugill comes on 71 minutes. Then the triple sub comes on. Cafu came off, Green came off, and Grant Hall came off. The Lucas, Georgie, and Appiah. All three of those came on, and then the goal came. A minute later, 73 minutes sub 74 minutes. The goal. I know it's really easy to say. We'll talk about Hugill specifically in a moment, but the sheer presence of Georgie Kelly created the goal. Or whether it could have been Nombe, it could have been Georgie, it could have been anybody. But the sheer presence of that second striker made the defender have to clear the ball, and he cleared it straight to Jordan Hugill, and the finish is absolutely stunning. But it showed maybe the need for that second striker to just give the opposition a question, really.
Is that one for me?
No, I don't know.
To answer? No. Oh, okay. But no, I agree, Matt. That little switch to two up top. I mean, I saw a Southampton fan comment that we changed formation 3 times to try and exploit them a little bit, which is hard to do in any game. Change formation and to keep it relatively effective for the whole second half, whilst you made 2 formation switches already. But yeah, if you watch the replay as well, you can see the defender, like you can see Georgie's ready to run past the defender and pursue that ball. So like you say, he has to clear it. All right, it's fallen to Hugill, I think, with a bit of luck, but even Hugill himself has said he just thought, hit it. You know, like I said that on the club's social media after. And that's the mentality that we need sometimes, because it almost seems at some points of the season we've been scared just to hit it and see what happens. And I think that's proof we need to do that more often. We need to not faff about with it on the edge of the 18-yard box. It just takes someone just to go, I'm just going to hit it and see what happens. And Hugill's done that, and he's probably the best lobbed volley since Alex Ravel.
Yeah. It just shows a player that's got good technique, Tom. It just shows a player that because he didn't have a second to think about it. He took it. You know, we can always question keeper's positioning, but it's just a stunning finish. There's not much more to say about it. He can have his own goal of the season and water competition just for himself so far.
Yeah, well, I think we said it after the Preston game where we were kind of weren't happy with Hugo just because of how much we expect from him and how much he can offer compared to how much he was offering. And it's games like Saturday and finishes like Saturday and against Preston where you think this is the player that he can be. And that's the player that we need him to be as well. You know, sometimes the instinct that players say, "Oh yeah, I just had to hit it," is sometimes the kind of caliber that you need in the box. I think Kelly has it as well. Maybe not to as a great impactful way outside of that, but definitely in terms of in the box and around the box, we need players who are willing to take that chance to score goals like that. Obviously, you know, it's a fantastic finish. I think Bazunu maybe could have done better, but you know. It's just a great lob. First time over Bazunu, who didn't have a great game against us last time he played against us. If anyone remembers, I think it was the last time.
Bazunu,
he's not a great keeper. Let's be fair.
He played against the Pompey in League One, didn't he?
Yeah, and he dropped the ball in front of Smith. Anyway, yeah. So you know, and to be fair, you know, you think about that finish from Hugill and then you think about the finish from Appiah as well, which was offside. It's 2 goals where you think...
That would have finished that, you know.
It was a great touch and a great finish. And from where I was sat, it didn't look like he was offside, but I've heard looking back at it, he may have been.
It will look close to me. On the replay, it looked very close. But...
Either way, you know, you look at that finish from Hugill and you think we need more of that, not just from him, but from other players as well. You know, Green, Fred, and Kelly, Nombe. We need more players who are willing to take that opportunity, take that risk. I think Hacks does it very well. But yeah, I think we need more players like that. And this is the sort of player that Hugill can be and Hugill has to be for us. And again, it's you know, I think a couple comments last time we were mentioning Hugo were saying that we were being too hard. And I don't think we are. I just think we're being very factful about it in that you can see the player that he can be and you can see the player that you can see the best and worst of Hugo in most games that he plays, and the best of him is the player that we need, and the worst of him he needs to stay away from. He gets too involved in individual confrontations, and you just think if he was just the best, or at least a 7 out of the best that he was every game, he would be so impactful to this team. And he showed that again. So whether Mick or John says that he's an impact sub, maybe, or maybe he just has to be at least a bit better or a bit more motivated than he is at the minute. Certainly being dropped seemed to bring something out of him. Certainly him playing against his old team seems to bring something out of him. So let's just hope that it continues on after the international break now.
Yeah, three goals in 11 games, Mick. Should be 4. Have any man the Leicester goal that was disallowed. We're getting the goal return. That ratio would give you 12, 13 goals in the season, which is the type of striker we've been crying out for. And what is good about Jordan Hugill is he isn't a goal scorer. So if he gives us 12 goals and does everything else, I know he has his issues that Thomas brightly mentioned and we've talked about a lot before. But if you can get 12 goals in the season and do everything else that he does, that's the type of striker that can keep you up in the division.
Well, absolutely, yeah. And like you said, it's the type of striker we've been crying out for, and I agree with everything that Tom's just said there. I don't want to pull him to pieces because he's a quality player. There's no doubt about it. And on his day, he can be unplayable. I kind of like the little getting involved in the confrontations part of it. I do like that up to a point. To be fair, he got some decisions as well on Saturday from Bushby, which was a surprise, a real surprise for me. So that kind of helped him as well a little bit. But listen, he's a quality player. There's no doubt about it. You don't have the CV that he's got without having some quality there, But I agree with Tom. I just want him to concentrate more on what he's good at. Because he benefits the team and it benefits him as well. So we'll have to see how he goes moving forward. But I don't want to be critical of him. And after that finish, which was absolute quality, I kind of disagree a little bit with Danny's comment about just hit it. You know what I mean? Because it seemed to be extremely well thought out. That in the few seconds that he had, he just spotted the opportunity and it was an absolute peach of a finish. But like I said, you like you mentioned earlier with that goalkeeper, he is prone to mistakes without a shadow of a doubt, and that's something that I don't think we exploited enough on Saturday, to be fair. But we managed to exploit it at least once, so that was all that mattered in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah. Shellstone says Hugill needs to find a way to be able to motivate himself better. Yeah, I think one of the ways he motivates himself is to wind the opposition up. Doesn't always work. That's the problem.
It's finding that fine line. It's finding that line, isn't it? To finding that line.
Yeah. Let's go through some more comments. John S says, I don't think we look like letting another in all game after Fred went off, not with the Swede in the net, which we'll talk about in a moment. Aaron says, when does Victor's contract run out and do you think he will stay at the end of the season? Reg says, I think Green should be dropped because he's just bits and pieces and seems a bit lazy. Give Happy the chance. I agree on the Happy part. Let's do the Victor chat now. Michael Miller says, would anyone care to suggest a better keeper, Rotherham goalkeeper than Victor over the last 30 years? We're now getting into the realms of the conversation, Danny, of all-time greats, because Victor consistently keep putting in these performances. Saturday was a stunning goalkeeper performance, but it wasn't even. It might not even be his best top 2 or 3 Rotherham performances. That's how good he is. But just Victor being Victor once again.
Well, according to someone who used to watch him in Leicester's under 23, he's an okay keeper at best, isn't he? Yeah. Because they've got a once-in-generational talent. But anyway, enough of that. In terms of goalkeepers that I've seen in net for Rotherham, which spans back to just as Lee Camp was finishing his career with us. I think I was just at the back end of the Lee Camp years. Victor is head and shoulders above him, purely down to his reflexes. His reflexes are out of this world, and his what's the word? His athletic ability, shall we say, like to really throw himself at stuff. Like acrobatic, like his acrobatics in goal as well, a top tier. Is I'm not going to swear, but you know what I mean. When he dived for the ball, it was quite clearly like 10 yards wide. Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. The only thing that would make Victor a massive keeper is his kicking.
That's the only thing that lets him down.
That's the only thing that lets him down.
It's only fairly marginal, isn't it? To be fair.
Oh yeah, it's marginal.
That's the difference between Premier League and world class.
Yeah, exactly. But with Victor, he has got a very strong shout for being Rotherham's best keeper the last 30 years. It's the best keeper I've seen in near enough 10 years. So he has a strong shout for the last 30. That is for sure. Yeah.
He also has a very, very strong chance to make his international debut this week. Sweden play Moldova. They play Moldova then Belgium. I don't think they'll start him in a competitive game, which is wrong, but I don't think they will. So watch out for that, because again, that'll be another feather in his cap, another step along his progression. Tommy's only, I think, 25 or something like that. For a keeper, that's still a very, very young age. He could play till 42. We see keepers nowadays play till well over 40. This guy's still learning his trade, and that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And like Danny said, there's still aspects that he can improve on. His kicking. I personally think his handling as well. Not so much handling, but decision making inside his 6-yard box when he punches, when he could catch, etc. I think it's to do with his height, which is kind of out of his vicinity. But there's definitely work to be done. But in terms of what you can't teach, in terms of his reflexes, his positioning, his kind of out and out
for me.
Instincts. Yeah. I mean, they're just phenomenal. I'm pretty sure that shot which he saved with his head from Smallbone took a deflection off Peltier on the way, and he still. And it's just, I mean, at 1-0, if that that save happened, and I thought, oh Christ, here we go, it's going to be 3 at this point. But as soon as that was saved, you didn't think it for a second that it'd matter, kind of save. And then as soon as it did, you look back at it and you think, oh Christ, okay, we've actually we've been given a point here by Jordan Hugill and Victor. I know a lot of the other players played out of their skin, but those two players in particular were fantastic. That save especially was, it's something that we kind of, I think we've spoken about this before, where we said Victor didn't have the greatest start to the season, not because he didn't have a great start, but because of the standards that he set himself because of last season. And I think those are the standards. Those kind of saves are unfortunately the standard that we expect him to make now. So when he saved it, it was kind of a like, wow, that's an unbelievable save. And then the second thought was, yeah, he's kind of made 4 or 5 of them in the last season. So yeah. So it's unbelievable. But yeah, like you said, I can't believe he's 25. I thought he was older than that.
Just turned 25 in September.
Right. In that case, then yeah, he's got 10, 12, 14 years left of his career. Definitely the things I said, he could improve on is, I think is valid. But at the same time, there's those things that, you can't possibly teach someone. He's absolutely got his reactions, his instincts, his positioning absolutely is just top tier and potentially Premier League standard. Yet to be seen, but definitely on his way up there.
If you watch the highlights of Smallbone's shot as well, it captures it perfectly where he says, you can see him mouth how he saved that. and I think that was the reaction of the away end as well. How on earth has he saved that? But again, like you say, Tom, that goes down to natural instinct. His instinct is, I need to get something on this and stop it going in. At that moment, it was his forehead, but it stopped it going in, so it don't matter.
I think my keepers go back to Mike Pollitt. My boy was second coming was my first mate. Mike Pollitt was a wonderful goalkeeper. Andy Warrington, a wonderful goalkeeper. Victor's just better than him. We had Rodak, and I think we saw potential in Rodak. We never saw the end product. Well, I suppose this isn't Victor's end product, I suppose. just rank Victor for me. Mate. You've watched football a bit longer than all of us. Where does Victor rank in the history of Rotherham United? Because he's got to be in that conversation now.
Well, I mean, I go back a bit further than you, like you said. I go back the 70s with the likes of Roy Tunks and Jim McDonough, who were both really good goalkeepers. And then you look at that 80-81 season with Ray Mountford in goal, and I can't remember. I can't remember how many did we concede that year at home. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I mean, Ray's a friend of mine. I've known him a long time, and I'm going to be biased and say that he was probably one of the best keepers I'd ever seen in a Rotherham United shirt. But then, like you say, you go on to Mike Pollitt, Matt Clark, people like that. But I have to say, and again, I suppose I'm a little bit biased, aren't I, really? But Victor is head and shoulders above anybody I have ever seen pulling a Rotherham United shirt. He is by far and away the best goalkeeper we've ever seen, and probably ever will. Unless we go a lot further. I remember the first game he played in COVID. Was it Preston?
Preston at home, yeah.
Preston at home, and almost immediately within 5 minutes, you could see the type of character that he was. And then he adds into that the ability that he's got. It's difficult. I am biased. I'm very, very biased because he's such a lovely bloke. But he is top quality, and for me, definitely the best goalkeeper we've ever seen.
He's also improved. I think I said over short space time. The first season he was with us, he made a couple of mistakes. In League One, he made 2 or 3 mistakes, which led to goals. And he made a mistake against Burnley last season, and that's probably at Championship level. He seems to have cut those mistakes out of his game quite quickly, to be honest with you. And that's, for a goalkeeper, that's incredibly impressive. I'm desperate for him to make his debut. I think it'd be amazing for him.
Absolutely. I mean, what more could you want than to represent your country? It's just, he's different gravy, that lad.
When Victor makes his debut, it'd be like a proud dad moment for everybody, including
for every Rotherham fan.
Yeah,
it would. John S says better than Bobby Mims.
Yes.
Yeah, John mentions obviously Birmingham fan got John Ruddy there at their place. Could Victor's career surpass that one possibly? Shelley says we've never got a ridiculous amount of money for anybody. If Victor goes and we don't get relegated, he will go for a significant amount of money. Significant, in my opinion.
I want him to stay.
I know. He can't, though, can he?
I mean, like Tom said, he's still got a bare minimum 10 years left of his career. So what's another 5 with us?
Yeah. AJ says kicking has improved. Yeah, it has improved. His command of his area has improved as well. Didn't Bazunu cost 70 million quid? Yeah, I think it is.
Really?
How much?
It cost a lot. Yeah, they bought him from City.
You are joking. You are kidding me.
If Bazunu's 17, Victor's 25 minimum.
I see the significance now. So they paid £17 million to City for him. I see the significance of the RUFC tweet now. So I'm not going to say what it is. You need to just in case we get some sort of
City will have good lawyers. Best not to say
legal proceedings against us. But yeah.
Yeah, bear in mind, it probably counts as homegrown Bazunu, so there's probably a premium on that as well. Anyway, let's move on. We should also mention that the game being briefly paused because of the medical emergency. I haven't seen anything post that, to be honest with you, so I really hope that whoever it is okay. I didn't like the fact that the players had to ask the referee to stop the game and to sort it out. Twice in a week was sent to the EFL. The referee should... Go on, mate.
I was going to say, I thought at one point that Victor was going to get booked.
Yeah, I did.
For trying to stop the game, which would have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I thought it was poor handling of the game. Bearing in mind what's happened last week at Leighton, I thought it was really poor handling of the situation with the referee. It seems okay. I think if the worst would happen, would have heard by now. So fingers crossed and touch wood, everything was okay. Russ Martin felt like it gave us a chance in the game, which again I thought was poor taste and a poor comment from Russ Martin, suggesting that the extra break helped us. But
What do you expect from Russell Martin not taking responsibility for his own players? I mean, that is right up Russell Martin's street, isn't it?
It
You know
is,
what I
to be
mean?
honest with you.
Absolutely. Take no responsibility. Let's shift it to somebody else. Clown.
Yeah, he's got good hair though. Or he thinks
His
he's got good
hair's beautiful. And do you know what? I think that's possibly one of the reasons why I dislike him so much. Maybe it's just jealousy.
I know. I was gonna say,
I mean,
green doesn't suit you, man. Green doesn't suit you, Mick. It's just...
well,
so
so
that with my shirt, it definitely does suit him.
Yeah. Couple of points we mentioned a few bits we mentioned about supporting the town and promoting the town a little bit more. I want to mention Junaid Boston's win on Saturday, the boxer we mentioned on the previous episode. He had a very, very comprehensive win on Saturday and looked particularly impressive. So well done to Junaid on that one. He is destined for some pretty big things, and I know he's talked in previous interviews about potentially a New York fight in his future, assuming all those fights. Pretty exciting for the town. I also want to mention, and he doesn't know this, I want to mention Ben. Obviously, Ben, who normally does the podcast, or sometimes does the podcast with us. He's at the NFL Academy. So I want to give those guys a shout out who had a famous victory on Friday night against the American lot. Again, promoting the town, promoting our mate Ben.
Go on, Ben.
He was excellent on Friday night. If anybody is interested in the NFL, he is playing it on Tuesday. Ben's playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Tuesday night. Again, representing the NFL Academy. That should be on YouTube. If you're in London, you can go and pay and watch for a few quid, which is going to the NFL Academy. NFL Foundation, I think it is, sorry. So go and watch that, because as a man who doesn't like American football, it was quite an enjoyable game. So, yeah. Well done to Junaid. Well done to Ben for both representing the town with pride, I suppose. Well done to those two. Danny, Cafu played again. Cafu played a bit further forward again. And I don't think he had an impact on the game again. I don't think we're playing him in his best position 2 games in a row now. It doesn't look right there.
No, Christ, that were a switching play, wasn't it? But no, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, since coming back from injury, Cafu's been quite quiet. Like I say, whether it's down to not being in the right position, because he almost better suits, just being in behind where Rathbone is, the distributor in that position. But we're almost playing him a bit more flat in midfield. And it's almost like he can't get on the ball enough. And he doesn't quite know what to do with himself in those situations. Lord knows why he's not on set pieces at the minute. But yeah, it's just quiet. I mean, whether that's part of his rehabilitation management, where he's still playing and coming back into it slowly, I'm not too sure, because I don't have this special subject of sports science and rehabilitation. But yeah, he just seems really quiet, but at the same time, he seems quiet but always up for it, weirdly.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't sulk, does it?
No, he don't sulk. He just sort of accepts, like, I've been off form, but he gets himself going again for the next game. And I don't know, maybe the international breaks come at the right time and it gives everyone a chance just to rest up and get back to it a little bit, and we go again against Ipswich, which will be fun. But yeah, just little bit rusty. I think that's all it is. It's just rusty from injury, which I think is the case in anything. You're always going to be rusty going back to work when you've had X amount of time off. Whether it's from pulling pints to playing football, you always get a bit of rust when you've been off for a bit, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose. Very quickly, but John Merrill wants to know what position did Ben play in American football, because I don't know.
He plays, he's a wide receiver, although he doesn't play necessarily out wide. He plays in the slot, so just inside. Yeah, he's a receiver.
Same, Danny.
So he's a wide player, basically.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So he's a winger.
Sort
No.
of.
Get him on Monday to explain it to us.
In old money, he's an inside right.
Oh, I actually get what you mean by that. Right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah,
explaining football terms up pre-1990. Oh, it's inside right, no worries.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, we'll tweet the link. If we get the link for Ben that game, we'll tweet that out from the Twitter account. It's not 6 o'clock Tuesday, so anyway, moving on. Shelley says, Forrest said his best position was the number 10 role. They've got the players to let him play there. For us, he needs to play in the role he did before his injury. Yeah, I agree, Tom, and just a bit, maybe just repeat what Danny says, but he's better a bit deeper. I feel like he likes to make those runs. I mean, if he weighs further up, he can't make any runs because then he'd be too far up the pitch, really. I don't think he's in the right place.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say as well because obviously coming back from injury, you're rusty. You're also playing against Southampton, who love keep possession, so it's not really his forte. Bristol City was his first game back, so I think that's a bit more of a let him off kind of scenario. So I don't know. I still think his quality from set pieces is so vicious and just fantastic that if he's on the pitch and not having a good game, if you can get him in those situations where you're whipping in a set piece, you want Cafu behind it. But yeah, definitely, I think his best position is kind of number 10, kind of a number. What was it that it's such a rogue comparison, but Bellingham's number's 22 because he's a 10 and an 8 and a 6 altogether, or whatever it is. And I think that's kind of similar aspect to Cafu. I think if you played him in any of those positions, you'll get a good shift from him. I think a number 8 box to box is his personal. I think that's what I'd like to see him personally as a late comer to the box, to a destroyer in our half. I think he's great at that. Driving with the ball and his quality in the final third, but his defending is fantastic. Yeah, I just think it's got to be a case of rustiness. It's a case of opposition that we've played. It's a case of it's tough. It was tough for him to get back into the forte. I think he didn't have his best game against Southampton either, which I think just goes to show about how tough it was for our midfielders to get involved. So I wouldn't put that game as anything personal towards him. We know how good he is. I think we know how good the three midfielders are, and I think once you get into more of a rhythm of when they were on form, they were on form. They were Leicester's midfield, Norwich's midfield will tell you about it. They were just, superb. So yeah, I think he's definitely got the class and the quality. It's just about having the fitness behind it, and I think that'll come 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long it will be. If we can keep him fit, he'll get firing again.
John Morell says, was that a loose comparison to Jude?
I mean, no,
very loose.
Yeah, very loose. It was just a turn of phrase that Jude Bellingham used, and I tried to implement it myself, but no.
He gets very protective over the Bellingham.
I can tell. I mean, you retired his number at 17 or whatever. You can tell it's a bit of a sore subject.
Mick Rathbone, the Cafu conversation for me bleeds into the Rathbone situation, because Rathbone was better after Cafu went off. And he was better after Cafu went off because he was able to play in that position that Cafu was in, that Rathbone was playing before Cafu's injury. So then, because Klukas came on and was able to play almost the Rathbone role, sort of. And then it frees Rathbone. I don't get this switching in setup because it seems to be restricting two different players who were good in the first place. I'm really confused about this switch.
Yeah, it does, and I agree with you. There must be something there that Matt Taylor has seen that he wants to try and implement. But better for me when they're playing alongside each other in that middle, so one can press and the other drop, and kind of taking in turns almost. But there seems to be a very definite, over the last two games, a very definite switch to playing one in front of the other. I'm not convinced it's worked, but having said that, we need Cafu on the pitch. His presence is important to us. Whilst his contribution sometimes, certainly in the last couple of games, having come back from injury, has not been what it was prior to his injury. He's an important player on the pitch. He's a leader in that middle of the park. But yeah, I have to agree. I'm not convinced in playing one in front of the other, either or really. But if we're going to do, I think Rathbone is probably better off playing further forward. But I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's something to do with his injury, and like Tom mentioned there about his rehabilitation from that. I don't know what that could be. Whether that's just trying to get a little bit more fitness into his legs, give him a bit more running to do. I don't know. That doesn't really make any sense to me, to be honest. But I don't know.
Mick, can I ask then, what do you think is our best midfield then? Everyone fit, everyone on form, hypothetically.
I think it's a really, really tough choice, but I think you're going to struggle to drop either Rathbone or Cafu, and then the remainder of that midfield, you can perm anyone from just about anybody that's in there. Lucas, Jamie Lindsay, Hakeem Adoffin. You know, it's a very, very strong midfield when everybody's fit. Whether that's going to happen this season is anybody's guess, isn't it? But Cafu is really important to that midfield for me, really important, just because of he's another one of those players that kind of he slips under the radar a little bit in terms of the dirty work that he does, that kind of goes unnoticed, and it goes unnoticed even more when you take into account his set piece delivery, because people just think of him as a set piece specialist, but he's a lot more than that.
Yeah,
he's a leader. He's a leader. And then obviously you're looking at Fred and you're looking at Andre Green and Apaya, and there's some real quality in there, and everybody fit. It's a tough decision for Matt Taylor to make, but Cafu and Rathbone, but certainly Cafu has to be one of the first names in there for me.
Yeah,
I agree. Let's sort of finish, Danny, on where it sort of leaves us and where we sort of feel. I mean, yesterday for a part of the game, we were all sitting there thinking, to same old, this is going to be a tough afternoon. Even at 1-0, you sort of think it's just still going to be tough and we're probably going to lose and everything else. But then it changed. Then we get that positive burst of energy. And I think as fans, we put the twig out. So it sort of just makes you sit up a little bit and gets your palms a little bit sweaty because the team are doing something special and different and trying. I think the problem I have is that I've said what I'm going to say now more than once this season. That's the benchmark. That's the minimum. That's what we need going forward. And it hasn't been. That we've got to take that into the Ipswich game in 2 weeks' time. That's vital for me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when Peltier cleared that ball off the line, I think it was a little bit more than my palms that were sweating. I think it were everything. But no, I agree. The intensity that we played at for the last 25 minutes, probably since Hugo scored, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you can't match that sort of intensity all 90 minutes, 100 minutes. Don't get me wrong. That's borderline impossible. But that's the intensity the fans want. We want to see the team really get a teeth into it, because we saw numerous times when we were high pressing and really getting gritty with Southampton, we were the better team and they didn't know how to handle us. Hugo had a lot more freedom with Kelly up top with him, so it's more or less cemented 2 up top for me. If we're going to start Hugo, it needs to be the 2.
Yeah.
And living in a dream world where all the centre halves are fit, I think playing with the 2 up top wouldn't be a problem. But as it stands at the minute, it is. But like I said, that's the intensity the fans want, and Taylor's acknowledged that he wants that sort of noise from the crowd to really get behind the team, because when you've got the noise from the crowd and the team playing well, we almost mash together. I've paraphrased Matt Taylor, but that's effectively what he said. It all sort of mashes together and it really gets us ticking. And I think that's what we want. We want to see Rotherham high press teams. We want, not for the entire game, but to pick and choose your moments. And for the last half an hour, we chose the moments very well to really press them. And if we carry on doing that, then you get the fans behind you straight away. And I've noticed that when we were doing that and really getting in Southampton's faces, we were going as far to cheer tackles against Southampton as well. And us playing like that sort of lifted the crowd out the gutter a little bit, and in turn that lifted the team out the gutter a little bit more as well.
It also pushes the opposition down. The opposition fans see that, they don't like it either.
Exactly, and it all sort of starts working very, very fluidly, and then we get the scenes at full time where we're cheering a draw like it's a win, but we know how hard we've fought for that and how hard we've worked. And I think it is down to the fans to show more of that. Now that the team's shown that they can do it on the pitch, it's down to us to encourage it on the pitch, and then down to them again to carry it on. So it's a very strange dance to take, don't get me wrong. But the last half an hour at Southampton was in perfect motion, and we need to carry on like that more.
Yeah. John said the atmosphere was electric. Shirley says, as long as we try and attempt to go for the teams, then surely it's all we can ask for. Going out with a whimper like we have been doing it isn't working. Yeah, I felt like yesterday when I watched it, Tom, we were obviously 1-1 with, let's say, injury time left. I was thinking, I just started to think, we're probably going to lose this because we're going to get that sucker punch. But I still would have come out of that game pretty positive because of the way we can accept defeats. We're grown-ups, we're Rotherham fans, we can accept defeats. But there was, even if we'd have lost that game, there would have still been positives to take out of that game, I felt.
Yeah, I think coming from I know I'm quite positive constantly, but I think watching that first half and how absolutely abysmal it was, I think I think there's no positives to take out of that first half. I think we whimpered and we stuck in there somehow thanks to Victor. But that second half especially, it was just about competing. And if we compete every game, then we'll have a chance. And we showed that. I mean, I hate this, but we won the second half 1-0, theoretically. Yeah. If you perform how you do, if we perform how we did, second half, I know it's tough going the whole 90 minutes doing that, but as long as you compete, you win your tackles, you win your this, that, and the other, you become a hard team to beat. That's when you've got a chance, because we've got the quality going forward to create things. And I know that we don't do it as often as we should, but we have the caliber and the quality to actually do that. So to come into the game within 90 seconds and going down to then thinking, I mean, Appier's shot and Rathbone's shot, you're thinking maybe we should have got something from it, more than a point, with a whole load of luck in between. You come out of it and you think, well, what if we did that every game? Where would we be? What would happen? And it's a shame, and it's also positive. It's a shame because where the hell has it come from, and where is it going to go? But it's also a positive because this is the benchmark. I've said it before plenty of times that we have a certain benchmark, but in terms of our away performances, that second half has to be a benchmark.
Yeah, I agree. John Morell says the key for us is you need to produce against teams around us. Getting up for the likes of Norwich and Southampton, Leicester in there is one thing, but you still need to pick up points after the break. The break. So there was an international break now, and then we have 5 more games, then another international break. Those 5 games are Ipswich at home, Coventry at home, which are tough. You then have Sheffield Wednesday away, QPR at home, and Watford away. Those 3 of those 5 games are, by the end of the season, 3 of those 5 will probably be season-defining games. Because Wednesday, QPR, and Watford at the minute look like they're all going to be down there. We look like we're going to be down there. We're right, John's right, and we're raw. We've got to pick up points against those teams desperately.
Yeah, we have. Absolutely, we have. But I've been banging on for the whole of this season. We've got enough quality in this squad to be able to do it, and hopefully that away performance attitude was Saturday went some way to sort of dispelling that in the players' minds. Because that's where it's important. It's not important what we think ultimately. It's how the players approach these games. And I disagree with Tom a little bit. To be fair, I don't think that first half was appalling at all. I don't think it was. I think probably until the substitution, we struggled. We struggled with how progressive they were. But as soon as we made that substitution, I accept that Victor made some saves, but that is his job after all. We were fine. We were fine within the game, and then in the second half, really, were we in a great deal of trouble? They had a couple of chances. We had a couple of chances. I thought as an away performance, taking away that first 20 minutes where we were a little bit lost because we'd set up wrong. As an away performance, it was a very, very good performance overall. We did what Bristol City clearly do. We went and spoiled the game and nicked something at the end. What more could you want from an away performance overall? So we know as Rotherham United supporters that this team are more than capable of pulling away from this relegation zone. They are more than capable. Whether they're going to do it is another matter, clearly. The next 5 games are big, but they're all big games from now on because of the position we put our away performances have put us in, and that's on the players, that's on the management. Hopefully Saturday, like I said, Saturday goes some way to dispelling that in their minds and proves to them that they are capable of going to a Premier League side with world champions in their midst. Although I have to question what he got in his head, that lad. What's his name? Yeah, well, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, Alcaraz. Yeah, I mean, if when you've got hair, why would you abuse it like that? It looked like a bog brush, didn't it? There you go. Yeah, well, listen, we'll be all right. We'll be fine. Yes, we've got to pick some points up in these next few games, but we've got to have the right attitude, and I think we're addressing that. So we'll be there. We'll be fine.
Fair enough. Anything else? Anything else we need to pick up? Rotherham related, yesterday related, anything we need to mention?
Their player high-fiving Victor for a save he pulled off. That's the first time I've ever seen an opposition player high-five the goalkeeper.
Which one? Which small bone?
No, it were the it was the lad who had highlights in his hair. Like
Most.
I think it was the small bone one that he saved.
Yeah,
it might have been there like
Alcaraz.
That.
Alcaraz.
It might have been. Yeah, he high-fived Victor and, I don't know, probably said well saved to him. And that's the first time I've ever seen an opposition player high-five the goalkeeper for a save he's pulled off. So it's like, fair play.
Yeah.
This is Alcaraz, the bloke who had the ball fall at his feet and couldn't be asked at 6 yards out and couldn't be asked to kick it in back at net because he was too busy appealing for an handball. That one.
Possibly.
Remember that? He was stood on the edge of the 6-yard box with the ball at his feet, just begging to be tapped into the back at net, and he stood there claiming for handball, and somebody came along and cleared it. Clown. Clown. Absolute clown.
A wrong clock's right twice a day.
Yeah. I want to quickly say as well that I'd give Arvin Appiah a go. I really like him. I really like him. I think 20 minutes as an impact sub is good and all, but I'd give him a full half at least. I really like him. Quick, strong, direct. Great touch, great finish. Even though it was offside, he gives us something different. I really like him.
I think we've all done something quite well. That it was anonymous for 3 games, and then the 3 games after have been brilliant. Every time he's come on a sub, it's been really good.
Yeah, clearly, it's clearly a player there. If he cost 8 million at one point, so
yeah,
hopefully this is it.
Yeah. Neil Bolton just wants to mention the ratings at Clifton Park, lads. Yeah, they've sold 10,000 tickets for Clifton Park already. Within a couple of days of being sold on sale. Sorry, so yeah, we mentioned that last episode. The big concert. Anything else, boys?
Good.
We'll let Mick get off and drink some beer in view of the sea, I suppose. Thank you all for being with us on the New York Talk podcast. We will be back. I think we'll probably have a week off, to be honest with you. We'll have 10 days off or whatever it is, because there's hopefully nothing Rotherham United related to talk about. So, all being well, touching all the wood I can possibly find, we will be back on the Thursday before the Ipswich game. Although it's a Friday night kickoff, so we may move that. We'll have to wait and see, because that's always live on Sky. But keep an eye on the socials. We'll also be active over the social media over the next 10 days or so. Please subscribe if you haven't done already on YouTube. And give this video a thumbs up and like if you haven't already. If you're on iTunes or Spotify, again, make sure you have subscribed to wherever you're listening to us and give us a 5-star rating wherever it allows you to do so. Tom, thank you for being with us, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, of course, always is.
And Danny, thank you very much, mate. It's been
always
good.
A pleasure, lads. Always a pleasure.
And Mick, thank you for taking the time out of your weekend away to spend it in a car park.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Matthew.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
It's a Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Duffy, he can hit them, and he does. Oh!